So Monica, you've been in politics for a while. You've worked under Donald Trump. You've seen what they've been doing to him for the past, 7 years, I would say, almost. From the fake Russian collusion hoax to what they're doing now with, trying to get him broke and everything and that in between. You've said in the past, I think it was on Hannity, I would 6 years ago, that the left not only wants to delegitimize Donald Trump, they want to personally destroy him, destroy his presidency, and see him in prison. You must have been a psychic because everything that you said that you foresaw came to true. And you also said this: Donald Trump is an alien organism that has been injected into the body politic of the American people to reform it, but they don't like it. We know what's, so. What are your thoughts with what's going on, Monica, the present state? And then I want to ask you another thing about what they have planned for him. So
yes, and thank you for the question, and thank you for raising both of those quotes, but in particular, that quote that I said on Hannity in March of 2017, I now play it to the open of every single one of my podcasts. I just use, there are 2 quotes from that particular show because it was so long ago and I was so prescient on that. And I'm not patting myself on the back, I'm just saying I saw what was coming down the pike at the time when very few other people did. So think back to June of 2015. He comes down the escalator at Trump Tower and he makes his announcement that he's going to seek the presidency. Everybody starts laughing, right? Everybody's cracking up. This is a vanity run. He's only doing it because, he's trying to up his brand for The Apprentice or whatever. And I remember literally a couple of days after he announced, I was on with Bill O'Reilly, and then I think the next morning with Don Imus. So 2 tough sons of guns, right? I mean, these guys don't brook any kind of bullshit. And I was on with them, and they were all having a hearty laugh about Trump. And I said, stop laughing. Do not underestimate him. He's going to pull the whole thing off. And it shut the 2 of them up, which is very tough to do.
Of course, both of them.
And they're both my friends and everything else, but, to shut them down because they saw in my face something serious. And they were like, what are you seeing that the rest of us are not seeing? And I just thought about it at the time, 8 years of Obama and Marxism marching through the United States. The country was different as a result of it. The Republican Party was different and the base was different. The base was ready for a no BS disruptor, and that was Donald Trump. And I said, man, he's got a lane here, and he's the only one who can really exploit this lane, right? So if you fast forward through that whole year, what we didn't know was that the deep state started to pay closer attention to him because he was a disruptor, because he was not one of them, so therefore they could not control him or compromise him in any way. His whole life was out there. The divorces, the girlfriends, everything was out there. They knew they didn't have a line into him. And that's when their ears started to prick up, when he started gaining traction, and when Mrs. Clinton started to see that this guy could pose a real threat to her and her triumphant return to the White House. She's the one who came up with the Russia hoax.
She paid for it all.
So Mrs. Clinton is a deep state menace who belongs in prison for the rest of her life.
I agree.
She came up with the Russia hoax. All right, I'm laying all of this out to say that they set the table in 2015 and 2016 when they saw that he could actually be a real threat. They tried to take him down with the Russia hoax. When he first became president, he didn't understand these moving parts. Now he does, but he didn't, and totally understandable. Who would? He was never part of politics before. He had never done any of this before, right? So they tried to destroy him. They still are, of course, and they cannot believe he's not only still standing, but he's thriving. But the deep state lined up one massive attack against this man after another. The Russia hoax went on for years, crippled the man's presidency, right? Put the country into a massive, massive whirlwind of cost and national security threats and everything else. They do not care. They had their eyes focused on taking him down. They failed. When the Russia hoax failed, then they went to fake impeachments. And every day he was being assaulted with lies from the press.
Racist,
bigot, all this.
Yeah.
They were constantly trying to tear him down. So 2 fake impeachments, and then we come to 2020. And I'm setting the table here so we could talk about this year and what they might have planned. Because when you think about 2016 and what they tried to do to stop him, it was the Russia hoax, that he was some sort of Putin asset, all pack of lies. His presidency, they constantly attack him. Now you come to 2020 and they can't believe he's still standing. So what are they going to do? Think about it this way, guys.
Yeah.
Very few people have put all the pieces together. They unleashed an unprecedented virus on purpose.
Weird.
And it was not an accidental lab leak. The timing, way too coincidental. Release the virus, shut down the global economy to stop the roaring Trump economy.
Yep.
They have Antifa and Black Lives Matter burn down the country.
Yep.
They rig the election, and then the cherry on top is January 6th, which was a Fedsurrection to frame Donald Trump.
Yep.
5 catastrophic things that they set up to stop one man, his movement, America First, and to get the Great Reset back on track because Donald Trump put a pause on it, stopped it.
Wow.
So when you put it all together like that and think about the lengths they went to, the deep state working with the Chinese Communist Party, working with the globalists like the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, they were all working together to stop one man. That's how powerful Donald Trump is. That's how much of a threat he is to their globalist agenda. He had to be stopped. So when you think about it that way, in retrospect, 4 years ago, it tempts the question here, what do they have planned for this year?
I was just going to ask you,
because
what's
all
on
the lawfare coming at Trump, that is one piece of the puzzle, and they were hoping that that lawfare would in fact stop him, that they could get a conviction, they would put the man in prison before the election. It's not working. So what do they have planned for this year? Because
they gotta shift
you know they've got something else in their back pocket.
The scary thing is that they say win at all costs, you know, like they follow the philosophy of the prince or the 48 laws of power. So that's the most unsettling part of it, is that they'll do whatever it takes no matter how sinister.
Well, they'll justify that what they're doing to defeat him actually isn't wrong, even though it is.
For the greater good.
Exactly. It's the greater good to remove him. So let's just say you unleash a virus to do that. Yes, I know it killed millions of people, but look what it did. It got Donald Trump out of office, and we got everybody's favorite grandpa, Joe Biden, in.
And if you ask liberals, do you actually think Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million? They'll say no. Like, I asked a relative of mine, do you actually believe that? And they said, no, I don't.
Go drive by it.
So you know that it's a lie, that the case is being built on, but you're still pursuing it.
So it boggles my mind, because I'm like, what if Trump, this, wild, crazy, this apprentice, you're fired, orange guy, if he didn't choose to do it and he didn't go, where would we be right now? Because Hillary.
Well, that was Agenda 21. That's why it was originally called Agenda 21. Now it's called Agenda 2030 because Trump threw it off course.
Oh my God! So
right?
that's why I said this the other day to Adam on the podcast, on PBD podcast. I'm like, God chose that guy, and he goes, "You really think God?" I go, "Yes, I do, because God chooses everything." So back to my question, Monica. If you had to guess, what do you think the deep state's plan is to either disrupt, stop, or just suspend the whole election? Because, I mean, that's the goal. He cannot win. It's almost like with JFK. It's like they're like, this guy cannot stay in power, or else we're not going to get the war that we want. So they had to kill him.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to be?
And I don't have an answer because I'm not privy to the deep state's plottings here. I wish I were, but I'm not. All I know is it's going to be epic, because you're exactly right. They cannot allow this man to be reelected, right? They were caught flat-footed in 2016. They were caught totally by surprise. They didn't take him seriously. They sort of started the Russia hoax kind of thing. They never in a million years thought that this populist movement would take off the way it did. And then this real estate guy, this blue-collar billionaire from New York, could actually win the presidency and beat Mrs. Clinton. Are you kidding me? This icon of feminism, which is all a pile of horse shit, we know. She's a deep state menace. So they never expected it. And after 2016, they vowed never again. So this is why you saw those 5 catastrophic things that they threw on top of us and the world in 2020 to stop Donald Trump. And so this year, I don't have an answer for you, Vinny. I don't know, but we can speculate, because Now we know what they're capable of doing. They could give a shit about whether you live or die.
Yep.
In many ways, your government is actively trying to kill you.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. So we know this. And look, my very first job out of college was working with another former president, Richard Nixon.
Yep.
The last years of his life. I was not born when he was elected president, but I did work with him in the last years. We talked about Watergate. And now there's all of this research being done about Watergate and Nixon. That was a deep state maneuver to remove Richard Nixon from power.
Yep.
And I'm not excusing all the bad decisions Nixon made, but he was also getting bad information. So you get bad input, you're going to get bad output, right? So you mentioned JFK, removed by the deep state. Richard Nixon, removed by the deep state. They went after Ronald Reagan. With Iran-Contra, it didn't succeed, but it weakened him, right?
He got shot.
And somebody shot
Look at
him.
the patterns, right? And so that's where you realize that the actual power in America doesn't reside with us as it should be, right? With the people, it resides with the deep state. It's not in the White House. It's not on Capitol Hill. It's not at the U.S. Supreme Court. The real power in this country is with these shadowy, unaccountable, unelected bureaucrats and operatives that move from agency to agency throughout the security state, law enforcement, so the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, the DOJ. That's where the real power is in this country, and that is a terrifying concept.
And
so I almost feel like they give us the vote to placate us.
Of course.
And keep us down, and, oh, you know, you think you have a voice in your government. Good boy, good girl, you know? Meanwhile, they're out there picking presidents and destroying the ones who happen to get through.
Yeah, and you just saying that, and it sucks to say that. I know, you know, you want to believe that your vote counts and all this stuff, but we've gotten to the point, me and Brandon talk about this all the time, there's no left, there's no right. It's a uniparty, and you see it, one side, the Democrats get away with murder. The Republicans sit there and yell and, hey, you know, bring Fauci in, judiciary committee after judiciary committee. What actually happens? When is the last time one of those hearings produced someone to go to prison? Like really think about it. Yeah. Like Fauci, like you said, Fauci belongs in prison, and dude, for the rest of his life, the guy deserves to die in prison. That's why he has Secret Service protection for the rest of his life, because he knows, we know what the hell he did. And I think it's the disbelief, Monica, of the average American citizen when you say that they're trying to kill us and they don't care about our lives. Think about it. Everywhere you go, there's something all day you're trying to eat the food that doesn't kill you. The water trying to kill you. The vaccine. Every single thing that's happening, these people are trying to kill us. Even, Rob, you know this guy, who was that prince or king of somewhere, I think he was a prince of England. He said, I forgot the actual quote, he goes, when I die, I would like to be reincarnated as a virus to come back and help with the overpopulation of the world. This is one of the main guys of England said that. So it's not a secret. It's not fake. That's their plan all along. And I just hope to God, it's crazy that Trump is literally the only person that's in there. He's a thorn in their side, and this year is going to be scary. I actually want to ask.
That's why I pray for his personal protection.
I pray for
personal safety.
I literally pray for him, because anybody that's doing what they're doing for us, because say what you want, money, and okay, everybody wants to be successful, everybody wants money, but what this guy's doing, we spoke about before we started. He got in and was like, oh wow. And people are like, well, he appointed Christopher Wray. He appointed this person. He had to. He doesn't know who the hell all these Brennan and all these Mike Pompeo, they're all in that deep state. They're like, well, he appointed Christopher Wray. I'm like, you have to appoint somebody. Who is he going to pick? His friend? Like his construction friend from New York? No. You have to use these people. And I want to ask you one question before I get to my story. When it comes to so Biden, as you're seeing, they've pretty much given up on him. I think they stopped giving him his drugs. They just push him in front of the camera.
They want him to go now.
They want him to go right now.
They've turned.
They've turned, which I didn't think it was going to be that bad, because, bro, he seems like he's trying to hang on.
Yeah, but you knew it. Once they pushed him out for that press conference for him to defend his cognitive ability after the Her report came out.
Yeah.
When have you ever seen him go out without handlers to go do a press conference.
Oh.
Very minimal. And then a damaging report comes out. Next thing you know, he's out speaking without anybody. There's no Jean-Pierre. There's nobody there to back him up. It's just, hey, go. It's like watching them feed him to the wolves.
And meanwhile, during that press conference where he tried to prove he wasn't senile, he mixed up the president's trip to Mexico.
You can't write that to anybody. Brendan, what are you going to say?
It's extremely noticeable when the wind of the deep state's like blowing out your back versus against you. You know, and when they're on your side, they cover everything up, they help you out, they make excuses for you. But when they're against you, they'll like turn molehills into mountains and make up rumors and like false accusations about you. So, you know, like when Biden was on their side, they were trying to defend him about stuff, all of his gaffes and whatnot. So, but now they're highlighting it the same way they did with Trump. So,
big time,
very noticeable thing.
So, and if you had to just really fast, Monica, if you had to guess, like I give you $1,000, you have to bet the money, Vegas odds. Who is the left gonna have run?
Okay.
Who are they gonna choose to run for president, and who's gonna be the vice president?
So this is a critical question.
Very critical.
And I'm something of an expert on this question, so thank you for asking.
You're very welcome.
First of all, you are right. The left's power brokers want him gone. And the way you know that is because Barack and Michelle Obama, who are running the country now, this is Obama 3.0.
Yep.
This is not Biden's administration. Their folks have come out now, like David Axelrod. They're out there saying Joe Biden is not up to this job. The age is a real issue. Mrs. Clinton also, this is how you know the deep state is now getting ready to bounce Biden, because Mrs. Clinton is a mouthpiece for the deep state, and she's saying his age is a concern. So I do believe that they've already made the decision. He's gone.
Yep.
You're exactly right. He and Kamala Harris are holding on to the White House curtains. They're going to have to be carried out feet first. But the deep state is capable of anything. So when they want somebody gone, they will do what it takes to remove them from power. So I do believe, and I was the very first one to say this 2 years ago on the main stage at CPAC.
Okay.
When I was asked who was going to be the Democrat nominee in 24, I said Michelle Obama.
Wow, so you were up there with Roger Stone was one of those too.
Well, you know, my friend Joel Gilbert did a film 2 years ago called Michelle Obama 2024. So I saw it right before I did CPAC, and a light bulb went off, and I said, holy shit, they're going to run her. Here's why and pray to God that we're wrong. And I don't know how likely this is, right? We could be way off on this, and they could actually run Biden. I don't know. But the most devoted and dedicated voting bloc for the Democrats is black women. They know that they cannot run Kamala Harris. She's the most unpopular vice president in American history. So if they bounce him and they bounce her, and again, I don't know the mechanics of how they would do any of this, but if they bounce the two of them, black women are going to be really pissed. So the only one who really squares that circle for the Democrats is Michelle. And if you think about it, they've got the entire Obama machine, so all they have to do is throw the switch. I mean, they're running it now. She's got Barack. She's got the team. They raise, $1 billion overnight.
Of course.
If she's a candidate. And here's how they would do it, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's too late in the game, right? They're communists, so communists can do whatever they want, right? They don't play by the rules. They get to the DNC, which is late this year, and I think they made it late on purpose.
In Chicago.
They put it in Chicago, Obama hometown, and it's like late August. So here's how it could play out if they do this. They wait for the convention. They somehow remove Biden and Kamala.
25th Amendment, something where he's crazy. He walks on his underwear. Well, he's gone. Get him out. He's crazy.
Alex Jones is saying that he's hearing that Biden is walking naked around the West Wing because he doesn't know what planet he's on, right?
Oh my God.
So they can wait to the convention. If the nominee is either dies or is incapacitated, the Democrat rules are that that person is gone. The delegates all go home. The delegates play no role. And the 200-member Democrat National Committee, the DNC, chooses the nominee.
Also, don't they have super delegates?
They could easily get her. Yes, and so the super delegates
the super
go
delegate
away.
system means that the Democrat primary isn't really a thing, because the delegates vote, but then they have this whole other class of unelected delegates, or I guess elected from the top, who just get to choose. They usually just reiterate what the delegates chose, but in an event like this, they already have a mechanism, like you said, the mechanics of it. They already have a mechanism in the Democratic Party to just swoop in and place someone in there without any popular.
Is that what happened in 2016 with Bernie Sanders?
That's roughly what happened. The super delegates basically gathered around Hillary, but they had enough of the popular vote so that they could make it look like it was democratically decided, but it was basically a threat the whole time that if Bernie was really winning, they could,
And here's the kicker. So if they wait to do this until their convention in late August, then they can position her as the reluctant candidate who really didn't want to do it.
Exactly.
But her country and her
go.
party and her country need her,
Oh,
right?
I love that.
And then she only has to run like 9 or 10 weeks.
It's over.
She's pristine.
Oh.
She hasn't been bloodied up in any kind of primary process. She's iconic. She's a woman of color, so she's immune to criticism.
Yep.
You can't attack her. You're being called a racist. And here's the big tell, guys. If this were a Republican, like an iconic Republican, where there are whispers that this person might run for president, right? The imperial media would be all over that person.
Of course they would.
They'd be camped out on their front lawn.
Yep.
They'd have satellite trucks in front of their house chasing it. Are you running? Are you running?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, they're leaving her alone.
And nothing.
Yeah.
Crickets with Michelle.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know how likely this is. I could be way off
I don't
on
think you're
this. And I hope to God I'm wrong.
I pray to God, because we're the same crap that's been happening for this past 3.5 years is going to continue, and it's going to get worse.